Okay.
I can't.
We are here live, well, Zoom live with Maria Palermo. Let me tell you a little bit about Maria. Maria has a way of transforming people with a stroke of a brush that I've seen in person. She's done it with makeup, she's done it with tanning. You give her a little space and a little time, and she comes up with these amazing masterpieces. If ever I was going to, go to someone and say, hey, fix me, this would be the person. I've seen her work and I've seen her do, like 5, 6, 7, 8 people back to back to back to back, unwavering. And it wasn't like she even had a choice, but they come out literally, some of them you can't tell that was the same person. Like, who went in, and then they come out and you're like, who's that? Who's that? And I do mean that in a good way, in a very good way. So please tell us a little bit about yourself, doll.
Hi, I missed you, by the way. I'm Maria. I am a licensed hair and makeup artist. I started actually spray tanning with Yvonne back in 2016 with another makeup artist that I was in cosmetology school with. I initially kind of went there just to do makeup. That was always my thing, and I kind of got sucked into the craziness of spray tanning and oiling up and all of that. I've been doing it for 5.5 years now. Oh my god. I don't really spray anymore because your girl's old. My body's creaking. It was creaking back then too. But yeah, I thank you for those kind words, by the way, about my transformations. I appreciate that. But yeah, I love I love doing makeup. I loved doing the spraying to an extent, but the makeup has always been my favorite part, and just transforming them to be stage ready and have that extra boost of confidence the day of. You know what I mean?
All right. So when you say stage ready,
Hmm.
little segue, which is very lovely. We didn't even put that one together.
No, we did not.
Be stage ready. Like, so can I just show up with just a little bit makeup on my face the next day? How does
No,
that work?
no, no, no. So first and foremost, you need a tan, and I'm not talking like a couple weeks in the fake light tanning bed. Like, you need to be sprayed. I don't care what color you are. You could be as black as my hair. You have to get sprayed. The reason being is because of the stage lights. If you ever look at Broadway and you see how they look, not just makeup wise, well, obviously with makeup, but it's heavy regardless of their color because the lights will wash you out. So that goes for tanning too. The tan is what enhances what you've worked all these months for. You know what I mean? It's not making you look like the ghost of IFBB past. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're there to present all the work that you've done, and you can't do that under white, bright stage lights and no tan. Like, I've seen. I remember in Boston, there was one kid. I don't remember if it was his first show or not, and he came out with some like he wasn't with us, but he had like a self tanner kind of situation going on, and it was light and green.
Not a good color.
No, on top of the fact that this was day of. So it wasn't even like it was like the day before where we could try to fix it and spray over it. No, this was like day of. We only had the sponges and the puffs and the pumps with the girl. Like Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off. Like, that's how I felt. And it wasn't just me, it was me and another colleague um doing this and fixing just to make it presentable and not
Yes.
like olive, because that's what he looked olive.
Yes, there
And
is
it was
olive tone skin, but that's not the olive we're looking for on stage. When
no,
truly the olive, like they look like olives,
right.
yeah,
Well,
that's not.
you don't even want olive on stage. You almost want a sense of orange.
Yes.
Like, you want bronze. You want that depth. And there are people that get sprayed 3 times before their, final coat, which, we talk about later. But, because for those of you that are watching that have never done this, or, maybe learned from your first experience, what not to do, you need at least 2 base coats. If you're darker, you only need 1 base coat, but you need a base coat before your bronzer. And the bronzer is what you get the day of, and that's that dark, dark color. The base coat is what helps to get that bronzer to stick, but then it also kind of helps as far as just giving it a deeper color too, without going so heavy on the bronzer, because bronzer's nasty and sticky.
I think for people who don't understand, it might be considered like when you do painting and you do a primer on the wall first, and then you
exactly.
So they don't understand to have all those layers. You can't like the day up and be like, let's just tan me and go. Like,
on top of the fact too, like you'll see, like we've seen a lot where they shaved and like they're all bumpy and
bad.
Well, it's like, no, you should be getting waxed. I mean, I get it. Sometimes you can't do it, whether you can't afford it or you just don't have the time. I understand, but like you gotta exfoliate. Like that's like the spackle. You know what I mean? Like you need a decent because that too will affect your tan and how it lays and all this other stuff. But the tan is absolutely like super important for the day of. And this goes out to the girls. You can spray tan your face, just not with the bronzer. You absolutely can do 1 coat, because I would get girls that would be in my tent and they're like, no, don't spray my face. My makeup artist said, it's not good. I'm like, what are you talking about? Why wouldn't it be good? Because after you wash the bronzer off, you're gonna have a stark white face and then a tan body. What happens on the days that you're not wearing makeup?
Well,
it's crazy.
It shows on stage as well. They'll be like up to here, and then you're like, okay, so what happened in this area?
And it's harder, and it's harder to match that makeup when there's not at least some transition. You know what I mean? Like, and a lot of times we do their makeup before they even get their bronzer on. But at least when we have their makeup, like their makeup should be a little bit lighter. Like their face should be a little bit lighter than their body anyway. But, at least the makeup then will be a little more seamless and blend a little bit better instead of, looking like this on stage. You've got the white face, your hair, the black body. Like, come on. Like, and goes to the guys too. The guys, they'll get their face sprayed, but they can even get the makeup done too. Like, because that will help too, especially if, we can't spray certain parts of the eyes and like stuff like that. And we get your ears, whatever, stuff like, but it's important to your stage presence.
Especially when there's like, really tight judging, like when people are like, for ounce, leg for leg, arm for arm, tricep to tricep. When you get down, then it's the overall package. So if you got the guy who stacks up or the girl who stacks up to you, pound for pound, inch for inch, you're identical, then they're going to go
pose for pose.
Yeah. And then it comes down to who literally looks better. It is in that moment who looks better. So if you got a person, with I look like Casper from here up, and then the rest of my body mocha chocolate, and it throws it all off.
And I know each judge is different as far as their opinions. That's just life. You know what I mean? But they usually do follow a certain criteria and a certain scoreboard of presentation, and your presentation does matter as far as your makeup and your hair and your tan.
Definitely. So let's move right on over to makeup now. What do they need for you for makeup? What's helpful?
So it's kind of frustrating in the sense of, I know that they're dehydrated because they have to be.
Right.
So that shows on their face in the sense of the texture. So it does make it hard to apply makeup a lot of times. So I make sure I use a lot of hydrating products, at least skin prep wise.
Okay.
That way it absorbs into the skin and gives it something. So that way it's not like, it's not like you're just slapping on paint when it comes to like the foundation and stuff like that, because then it doesn't go on smoothly and it looks like, I can't explain it. It's like, it's like putting dry paint on like concrete almost, you know what I mean? Like it's not smooth, it's all bumpy and stuff like that. So I use a lot of hydrating products, and I have some of them that I could show you if you want, but I have to use stuff that's going to help enhance and make your makeup look better and stay better, especially because you're getting done at 4 a.m. and you need this until at least 8 o'clock at night some of the time. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I could touch you up and stuff like that. That's fine. But for the most part, like, it's got to be present,
Understood.
And another thing.
Is it, yeah, one thing that you think like I wish they would know to do boom, or I wish they would follow this, and they just don't.
I wish they would brush their teeth.
You are funny.
And I feel so bad saying that. Like, it's like 4 a.m. And I know they have a strict eating schedule, and I'm not trying to be offensive. It's just, that early in the morning. Thank God for masks now. Like, I love wearing a mask when I work. Like, I'm not trying to be offensive. It's just
okay.
But on top of the fact, like, taking care of your skin, like, in the meantime too, like, I know they're so focused on taking care of their body, and that's fine, but you got to take care of your skin too, because you got to moisturize, and not just your face, but your body. You got to moisturize your body, because that helps with your tan too, and exfoliating and just, taking care of it like you would on a regular basis.
Okay. Well, I know with everything else on there, probably the last thing people are thinking about is like,
and I totally get it, but that should be part of your regular routine outside of prep.
Right.
You know what I mean? So just, you fit your prep into your schedule, fit your regular schedule into your schedule. Feel me? Like,
it's true. And that is another checklist thing. Like, okay, my food, my workout, my care.
Well, and think about it. With all the dehydration that they're doing, if you look at some of them prior to their makeup and off stage, they look wrinkly and sad and just aged, older than they are, because they're so dehydrated and they're not taking care of their skin like they need to be outside of competition. And that doesn't, after all that's done, whether it be the show or your bodybuilding career, like, that has an effect on your skin. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta keep up with that. Like, even if it's just putting on one, I'm not saying you need, a whole 8-step routine. Even if you do 2 products, like, it's better than nothing. You know what I mean? So it just ages you faster than it should.
Yes, you mentioned mask, and that made me, of course, think of our beloved situation of COVID. How you managed to just, seriously, I mean, keep up your spirits and get through to the next day, and just, are you doing meditation? What's your secret?
It's been hard for sure. Mm-hmm. Mentally, physically, emotionally. I have started meditating and doing a lot more mindset work and things like that, and just kind of taking it day by day, because 2020, even prior to COVID, was very difficult for me. I experienced the personal loss prior to, like I said, COVID and everything like that. So the year was literally hectic from the jump, like from January 1st for me. So it was already kind of a weird situation. So like I said, I've just kind of been taking it day by day. We don't know what's to come or what's happening, what's expected. So, just one day at a time, an hour at a time if you have to, like just doing that. So
Well, that's awesome that
mm-hmm.
you're able to. I know a lot of people have found ways, like you said, meditation. They found other ways and other avenues
Mm-hmm.
to deal with this. I think that getting to talk to, like I was saying earlier, getting to talk to everybody now is like, oh, my way of coping.
Right.
Like okay, that helps you. Like I think it does. I really think
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
Because I'm
And
still staying.
sometimes, and sometimes whether you live alone or you live with your whatever, you get tired of those people after so many months. And if you're by yourself, like you don't have nobody to be tired with but yourself.
Oh my
You know
God.
what I mean? Like you want that interaction with other people, whether it be in person or phone, Zoom. It's nicer with Zoom because now you can see them and stuff like that. But absolutely, like you need that.
And birthdays and everything are now, like the Zoom connection is always there. Like
Mm-hmm.
we hadn't even thought of in the past, and now it's like it's just like a normal thing. Like, oh, what time are
Right.
we gonna get on for Zoom?
Right. Like the only people that really experienced that were people that, had family that lived overseas or, maybe in the military and stuff like that. Like we, as people who maybe had family in the town over, weren't thinking of doing this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we would call and be like, oh, I'm on my way.
So if somebody wants a transformation, how do they get in contact with you?
Well, they can go on my website,
Okay.
mariapalermoartistry.com, or my Instagram, stuff like that. I do want to talk more about like our experiences backstage and like how pertinent we are to everybody. You know what I mean? But you can find me on mariapalermoartistry.com. My Instagram is also Maria Palermo Artistry, so it's pretty easy to find me.
Into your video, don't you worry.
Thank you.
You
A1.
You said you want to talk more about our experiences. Is there one specific one you want to talk about right now?
No, well, I
or
think
just general.
I think so. I know that, like, for me, I remember you were the first person to teach me how, like, the spray tanning process worked.
Oh wow!
And I think back on it, like how my process has changed compared to your little cha-cha dance in the tent. Like, I can't, like, Yvonne is crazy. Like, I remember watching her, like, all right, leg out, leg in, leg out, leg in, like, turn, arms up, arms down, arms up. And I was just like, for me, yeah, in the beginning, I'm going to follow whatever. But I found a way to simplify it and speed up and that's why, like, you build these connections with people because they find us either ridiculous or, in my situation, they found me like, boom, 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 boom. Like, I was fast. I became very fast in my process because I was like, all right.
200 bodies. You didn't have a choice.
Well, and I really, like, put myself to the test. It was, I'll never forget this show. 2017 Atlantic State. I'll never forget this show because everybody was late. Like, we had some sprayers from Massachusetts coming, but even competitors were late because there was so much traffic and all this stuff. Wow. And we were so backed up. And this was for a national, qualifier. It wasn't even for, like, NPC Universe or, nationals in Miami or junior national. It was a qualifier. We did not finish until almost 2 a.m.
Yes.
I don't remember taking it. Like, I was like, boom, 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 boom. And when I'm in that mode, I'm like, all right, let's go. I'm like yelling, not in like a nasty way. I'm like, all right, next. Like, and if they're paying attention, I'm like, yo, next, like, let's go. And they realized too, and I would apologize. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not, they're like, no, I get it. Like, it's crazy right now. Like, there's so many people in here. I'm like, I'm just trying to get it. I remember this one individual had the audacity to tell me that I needed to spray faster. And while somebody was in my tent, and I was like, and they were like, and they looked at me like, you're the fastest sprayer in here. What is she talking about?
People maybe 4 minutes tops at a time, and you're like, you still need to move faster. Like, really? Do you want the tan?
Right. Like, I'm like, all right. And I had to learn how to spray with both hands because, after a while you get like the claw, like it hurts. So you have to learn how to, like, maneuver with both hands, which I did. And you know me, I had my chair because my thighs were just not having all that bending, and no. Plus two, for the taller, like the guys, I needed to stand up and like get the tops and whatever. Short girl life. And yeah, I would just like, I'd tell them, all right, face front, quarter turn, bikini pose, quarter turn, like just boom, 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 just to get them done, especially when there's so many of them.
I like to use quarter turns because we know, if nothing else, they know what a quarter turn is because they've been practicing their posing and they've heard quarter turn. So it works.
Exactly. So I was using then terminology that I knew that they would be familiar, especially because, you know, in that state, like they haven't eaten in months, and, you know, not that they haven't eaten, you know what I mean? They're so like in prep brain. Prep brain is right. Exactly. So it was just easier to feel, and they'd be like, oh, well, which way? I'm like, I don't care. Just fucking turn. Like, just turn. I don't care. And then we're going to go in a circle.
They are brain dead. You have to say quarter turn to the right, and then they'll probably go left. But you know, you can
whatever, you turned. But that's why I would just say quarter turn. So like, you make up your mind. I don't care. You could start front, back. I don't care. Let's just get you done. Like, and I'd make them do it twice and just bye. But they loved it. They loved that like immediate kind of sense of structure.
Yeah.
In that moment, because, and then they would see like their tan was even and that it looked good, and this was their base coat. I mean, obviously too, for their bronzer, it was the same thing, but you know, they kind of like that, like wah.
Yeah, it's amazing how shocked the people are. Even when they come out of there, they look at themselves and be like, "Is this me?" Like, yeah, that's you.
Mm-hmm. And for the new people, I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna be cold. It doesn't matter if it's the dead of summer. You're going to be cold because of all the fans, and it sucks. Like, I know for us, like, we would never know whether a person would be a fast dryer, like naturally, or like somebody that would take 2 hours to dry. And you would feel so bad for the people that would take forever to dry.
You have to explain to fans, because besides me, who knows what you're talking about right now?
Well, so the fans are there for people to dry. And then we'd also have the air purifier, just because all that, like, girl, my lungs are like half protan, half oxygen. Like, it's hysterical. But the fans are there to help you dry, especially in that kind of, you're in a hotel room. It's kind of stagnant, or not a hotel room, but a hotel conference room. It's like kind of stagnant air. That fan is going to help you dry, hopefully help you dry faster. But everybody's body's a little different. And I think too, the more hydrated your skin is, the faster and the more even your skin will dry, which goes back to what I mentioned before about taking care of your skin. You know, if your skin is dry, yeah, it's going to suck it up and it might absorb that tan for some people. But if you're also not exfoliating, it's not going to really absorb the way it should.
So basically, we would have people strip naked and stand there, and we would tan them, and then
butt naked.
Yeah, and then we would put
butt naked
a fan or 3 fans and say, okay, now you have to stand there and dry.
Like a mannequin too. Like, they would have to, like, arms up and everything, and like, you know, all tight. It's stressful. Who wants to be put? And they're like vulnerable already. They're already vulnerable coming in our tent butt naked, getting sprayed all up in their privates and stuff like that, you know? Craziness.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm just,
and even too, for like touch-ups, like I remember, oh my God, we were the titty gluers. Like, we were the titty fixers. And it like, there's no personal space. Like, I have to, for new competitors, like, if you're shy or if you're very like
timid,
very reserved and not into people, like, this ain't for you.
Well,
you will
get you out of your shell. This will get you out of your shell.
Yeah, but you're violated, like, not purposely, but like for the sake of you winning, you're violated. Like, Like, I remember I was scooping their titties out into like fixing them and just gluing them, and their butt cheeks, and it just you're in their personal space.
So what happens, people may not know, is okay, so the person has finally tanned and then they put on their clothes. Well, you want their clothes to be fitted, and you don't want anything to fall out where it's not supposed to fall out. And a lot of times suits are like this big. Okay, so if you have this much material to work with, you got to make sure that that material stays where it's supposed to stay. So
I have stories.
And we would adjust, and we would make it all so while they're walking, everything's supposed to stay.
Right. And I had one situation, and I felt so bad. I was fixing one girl's breast, and a lot of girls in this industry, they get fake boobs because it helps with their look and whatever. So I'm adjusting her, and her bikini strap snapped. Like, it came undone. Like, thank God we were backstage, but I felt bad, especially because her coach was there. And he was kind of shocked, and luckily, like, somebody had like a sewing kit and stuff like to fix it. And I like kept apologizing because these suits are expensive, and that shouldn't be happening. And he was like the coach was like, it's not your fault, that shouldn't be happening. And you still feel bad, but you want to make sure that everything is in properly covered, but also showing what needs to show. And I've seen some girls where they wear suits that are a little too big, and like you got to glue their crotch part, and you got to glue their butt cheeks together, like inside of the suit and outside of the suit. You know what I mean? Like,
a lot of people get their suits, and unfortunately they get them before I'd say like the last 2 weeks, your body's going to go through a transformation.
Mm-hmm.
You got to kind of anticipate, okay, what size am I? And then what size am I going to be then? Because, if your diet is on point and everything, which is great, then you need your suit to be a little less than what you're not trying to cover it up. You're not trying to come in with rolls of material. Right. So if you come out that way, you don't want like the back part of the rears should be nice, form fitting. You don't want it to be baggy and sagging, of all things.
Right. But you also don't want it where it's like this and your butt crack showing. You know what I mean? Like, your butthole's supposed to be covered, your crotch is supposed to be covered, like basic, you know what I mean? And it's hard.
I can see that. I'm gonna have to put that we're in a selection for YouTube where it says child video. I'm not gonna be able to do that.
Parental advisory. Well, yeah, hello. I mean, we're seeing these people in their most raw form. Like, yeah, you're gonna need a little advisory notice, like, going forward. But you know what I mean? Like, they're already so built and so formed, and they're going on stage in practically nothing. Whatever little bit of fabric that they have, you got to make sure is properly covering what needs to be covered and still enhancing what they're trying to show. So if that means I got to be like, doing some ice cream scoops into your bra,
it is what it is.
Right. And there were girls that would be like, glue my tits in, please. Glue my ass cheeks for me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they make a joke out of it at some point.
Yes.
And then, when it came to the oil, that was our favorite part.
They just come and like hand you the thing or something, the gluer, and be like, hey, can you fix this? Like, they're not at all.
Stick their tits in your face, stick their ass in your face, and you're like, okay. Whatever. And oiling was our favorite part.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So after you've done all that tanning, then you don't oil them. You make them sheen. You give them a sheen, because more than
we oiled them.
Dry looking. So you don't want them to look like that. So you have to do a sheen. People do not bring the vegetable oil. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about the 2-in-1, whatever motor oil.
No, because that'll take your tan off.
Yes, we just want a sheen. And what that is like we would say a bronzer or a highlighter to your color. You're not trying to slather down in petroleum, whatever. Some people bring stuff and what is that? It's from your definition if it's too oily. And yeah, It's
So we would use, oil essentially in a spray. That way it was a light mist and it wasn't intense, but we would rub it in to make sure that it was evenly distributed and not, because sometimes with their skin it would be patchy depending on what areas were more dry than others. So in order to avoid that, we would have to rub it. And that's the other thing too. Like I said, like they're already at this point comfortable with us because we've seen them either naked or close to naked, and we're fixing them. So us rubbing up on them, like, is nothing at that point. You know what I mean?
yes. You get to be truly intimate really quick in like 2 seconds or less. Like, hey, hi, need you naked.
Mhm. Mhm. But it's funny because then you kind of form friendships and relationships with these people. Like I'm still friends with a bunch of them, whether it be from afar or in person and stuff like that. And I had one girl. She hasn't been competing, obviously, with all this stuff going on, but she lives close, and she was going to do a photo shoot, and she was like, I need you to make sure like the rest of me is good, like the rest of my back and everything like that. And I was like, oh, it's like old time's sake. All right, whatever. And I'm in her bathroom and she's, butt naked, cheeks spread and whatever. I'm like, yeah, this is like old times, like nothing new. And you kind of you form funny relationships, and then you get to see them at other shows and they request you and they only want to go to, like, you form a bond kind of thing. So it's nice. You can't, I don't know. I miss some of the competitors, and it's funny because like you don't, and this is not offensive, like I'm not trying to offend nobody, but half the time we don't remember you. Like there's identifying mark unless you have like a very distinct face, and I'm not saying it in like, what I mean? Like there's some people that you remember their face because they don't look like everybody else.
Right.
Kind of thing. But also like your tattoos are most of the time identifying markers. Like some people I'm like, and then there are times too where I see a person's tattoo and I'm like, no, wait, have I? Were you out there? No, but maybe, you know what I mean? Like, because you're just seeing so many people, and sometimes you're seeing the same people, but you're seeing so many people in one day. Whether you're, seeing those same people or whatever, you're seeing at least 100 people in a single day. And there's more than one of us, which means that there's more than 100 of you. You know what I mean? So we can't remember everybody. Unless I see you every single show, we can't. I can't remember you. I'm sorry, and I feel bad, but like,
I think they would understand. I think they definitely would.
But if they remember me, that's fine. Like that's great. Like I appreciate that. Like, you know what I mean? Like.
But it's a whirlwind, but it's so much fun, and it's just so much going on all at the same time. So it's just a blast. Like that's why I wanted to talk to people about, the whole process of it, like backstage, tanning, makeup, competing, how you get in shape for it, how you stay in shape, you keep your mind straight. There's so many aspects of it that I think people would be interested.
Yeah.
To know
and
like what goes
and
on.
Don't think that we're like, we want to form these relationships with you. And like I said, like there are competitors that are and I would always love when they would like give us treats and stuff like that, especially when we're starting at 4 or 5 in the morning. They're like bringing us coffee and breakfast and stuff like that, even though they can't have that stuff. And it's like,
so sweet.
That's so sweet. And it's like, I feel bad because half the time I'd be eating in front of them. And I'm like, sorry, like, I know you can't have this, but I'm like, I'm dying.
I don't want to because you know that they can't do it. So you don't want to.
Also, I do though. Like, I'm tired. Like, I slept 3 hours after all this up and down. Like, I'm eating in front of you. I'm sorry. Like, I'm a fat girl for life.
You're crazy. You're beautiful, Mama. Stop. I also wanted to do this because I think that sometimes people say, if they see people who do figure fitness or bodybuilding or something like that, they kind of think that that's almost like another world. And I just want to like
It is.
that connection sometime. Like, you know, these are people that are your neighbors or your friends, or, you know, they just, they want a little tilt on
Right.
that side of it. But it's not, if it's something that you want to do, or listen, just getting up every day, if you can take a walk, that's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be the total extreme, but, you know, doing
No.
anything, especially for these times, like to clear your mind
Right.
and like that, it's helpful. But I just feel like there's like, it's kind of like a us and them kind of thing. So I feel like
And
between the two worlds.
right. And a lot of people seem to think that like these competitors are in this like body state all their lives. And it's like, no, like they would die. That's not realistic. Like they're doing this weeks at a time.
Yeah.
And then they're on, and you know, if they're not doing like back to back to back shows, they're giving their body that break essentially. But you know, and I've talked with competitors about this, and I've said, you know, it's a very narcissistic sport, but it's what they want to do, and it's something that they enjoy doing. So just, you know, it is what it is. But you know, don't think that they look like that 24/7. Like, yes, they're in shape, they're fit, but they're not looking like stage ready 24/7, 365. You know what I mean? So just
And yeah, they are humans. They are real life humans. They're real life boys and girls.
Yeah, some of them are, you know, are medical frontline workers. Excuse me, I have to see.
Feel free.
Yeah, okay, never mind. It'll come like at random. But you know, these are your, like I said, like you said, your neighbors. They're people that work in corporate. They're people that work in the field, you know, the medical field, or they work in, you know, law enforcement, or they're just coaches and in the fitness world, period. You know, like they're normal, they're people. They're, you know, and all this scrutiny and, you know, comments that people make, and the negativity just in general, like never mind in bodybuilding and the comments that people have, but like just like really, this is not the year for all that. You know what I mean? Like keep that to yourself.
Oh, well, at any time, I don't think it's, you know, everybody has to do what is best for them. Let's start with that.
Right.
I just think I wanted to, I guess, just kind of connect with the people who might be thinking of doing, but like, I'm not sure, you know, and on the other hand, for the people who are just like, oh, those are, you know, those people are kind of, that's the way I feel sometimes. I'm like, what do you mean? They're just people. They're just people.
I was naive towards it when I first went into it. You know, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know the terminology. I didn't know what they had to go through. I didn't know that, you know, I didn't know any of it. So it was interesting to see how, I don't want to say normal, because let's face it, y'all not normal to be doing this as often as y'all do. Like, it's just, I'm gonna just put that out there. But they're everyday people, you know what I mean? And yeah, it was definitely a change for me, for sure, coming into this industry and seeing the things I saw and experienced and stuff like that. But I mean, for the people out there that are, this is great too, for people that are out there that don't know what to expect, especially for show day or prior to show day. Like knowing that, you know, your tan, your hair, and your makeup are important, whether you're a guy or a girl. Like they're necessary for your stage presence. They're necessary for your overall presentation. They're necessary for the win. I mean, and that's what you're essentially there to do. And if you're not there to win, that's fine, just for the experience, great, but at least make your experience worthwhile. You're spending all this money just to go into the show and on coaches and training and stuff like that. Even if you're not there to win, at least make it worth your while by doing the right steps to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like put your almost your all into it. Even if you know that, like, all right, I'm not in my best shape, I'm not going to win, but I'm going to go out there, make it worth your while. Be presentable as if you are out there to win. You know what I mean?
if for some people, I'm sure, of course, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to win.
Yeah, of course.
It's their overall best. You know what I'm saying? So they may have even placed third, but we don't know where they started. You know, if they just came from whatever and they get to a third place, that's amazing. That's amazing. It's nothing to shrug your shoulders about.
Being there, regardless of whether your first call out or your last call out, you're there.
Yeah.
You put in that work to be there, whether, you know, through your training, through your dieting, through your mental, what have you. That's a win in and of itself.
Yep.
So at least take that as a win, whether you actually win or not. And it's nice to, you know, I'm sure the day of, like, it can be disappointing to people that don't win or that don't place and stuff like that. But it is nice to see after the fact that some of them kind of reflect and are like, all right, like, I see where I can make improvements and stuff. And I'm still grateful to have been there and gone through the experience. And that's the way that we should be in life, period. And that's very hard to do. Like, nobody wants to sit there and be like, oh, you know, I think I should have won because of X, Y, and Z, or I think I should have placed higher because of da 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 da. But you're always learning. Like, it's not fit. This is the best phrase I've ever heard, and I have now taken it into my life. There's no such thing as failure, only feedback.
All right, I like that. Might have to steal that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good one. That's a good one. And you know what? You don't want to have not tried. You know, I think that's even more devastating is to have not tried at all, not to make the attempt. So
absolutely.
Why not? Why the heck
absolutely not? Right. So I want to go back to talking more about makeup as far as the presentations and stuff like that. Because, child.
Yes.
It's not you, but girls.
Yes.
We are not doing nude lips for your day of. Do you remember what I used to call them?
No.
We used to do nude butthole lips.
Okay.
We're not doing butthole lips.
Okay.
This is why. Your eyes need to be, you know, nice, and, you know, I kind of did a little stage makeup today as a little bit of kind of, you know, a little segue kind of thing. You need lashes for presentation. Obviously, mine are very muted compared to what we would do for stage, but nonetheless, you know, you want a little shimmer to kind of brighten up the eye. You want the eyes light in the sense of not like white, but you want some brightness to bring out those features. But you don't want a muted lip, because then they're seeing white teeth and nothing around it. Okay. You know what I mean? And especially with all that dark tan and makeup, you need a color, and nude, and, you know, whatever nude is for you, that's not a color. You need a color, especially one that's going to complement your makeup and your tan. So you need color. So my recommendation is always, you know, reds. Reds are a favorite of mine. Berry colors like this, even dark kind of plum colors for, especially for women of color, darker women of color. If you're bold and brave, you know, some women of color can pull off orange, especially if they have an orange suit kind of thing. Like, it's a nice pop. But again, it depends on the person too. But muted colors do not look good with makeup, like, you know, not, or with your tan, especially on stage and stuff like that. So it may look good in regular life, like everyday life. Like, I love me a brown, I love me a nude. It doesn't work for the stage. Understood. Especially because you need you need more than one focal point for, and your mouth is, because you're always smiling. That's part of your presentation, is you're always smiling. You need that because your eyes are, you know, only so big, but your smile is bigger. and you need something to accentuate your smile.
Got it.
Color is what's going to do that. So, and the other thing too is for hair, you want something a little zhuzh. I don't recommend updos for many people. You know, unless your hair is like, unless you got like a mohawk kind of thing going on, sure. Because some girls do the whole, you know, they'll do the mohawk, whatever. Cool. I don't recommend it. You want nice, you want volume to your hair. You don't want like, you know, like plaster and stuff like that. You want some volume and you want some oomph to kind of accentuate everything going on. And, you know, for the bikini girls, you know, they don't have to shift their hair either. You know, they're not showing their back like you would for physique or for figure, stuff like that. But all the girls, I'm tired of all the extensions. This is just me personally talking. Like, yes, it can look good, but I don't recommend them if you're going to do like long and straight hair. I prefer like waves and volume and stuff like that. Like I said, you're accentuating everything that you have. Like, just do it with your hair too. Like, just give it a little something. Don't go. So I don't like straight hair on stage personally. And you know, I'm sure you've seen it a lot too.
Bigger.
Yeah, just, you know, you should accentuate a little bit. Like, again, you're on stage. It's not like you're doing everyday activity. You know, me personally, I just feel like that very straight, slick hair just kind of like sticks to them. Okay. Like there's no movement. Okay. If that makes sense.
Understood.
And you know, yeah, like if you're figure, physique, whatever, you're moving your hair and stuff like that. I don't mean movement by that. I mean movement in the sense of like, not that it has a life of its own, but that it moves with you. And like, you know, there's still dimension all the way around you. Gotcha. Not just your body, not just your face, but, you know, your hair too. So that's my other thing. And then guys, don't be afraid of getting makeup on. Like, tired of this, like, oh, is it my turn? Are you going to put blush on me? Like, shut up. No. Like, I'll put blush on you if you keep acting like this. Like, no. I'm trying to make you look presentable. And that includes putting on, you know, foundation and concealer, and even, you know, putting something on your lips to moisturize you because you're dry like everybody else, you know. It's just about making you look even and presentable.
That's ideal. I think that's great, information. We will have your contact too down below, so they can, hit you up and ask for your insider tips. No, go ahead.
I also want to say, for those of you that may be doing it yourself, like you may not want to hire a person to do your hair and makeup. That's all fine and dandy. My recommendation for you, or for those of you out there that are doing it, make sure you get your ears. I know it seems like very silly, but your ears are going to be stark white compared to the rest of you. So make sure you at least put a little something in this vicinity, so it's not, and even in your hairline. That way it's not a different contrast. And make sure that you're putting on enough that it'll stay and bring whatever you need with you and touch up and stuff like that. Just don't go overboard. Like, yes, it's stage makeup, but like, don't go with all this glitter and like all these colors and like, I've seen girls with like rainbow eyes, and I'm like, why? They don't see that. They don't see that. You know what I mean? Just keep it simple, keep it elegant, but keep it, noticeable, keep it visible.
Listen, maybe rainbow was their inner thing. I don't know.
Yeah, but do that in your suit.
That's true. That's true.
We've seen rainbow suits. We've seen color. We've seen all kinds of suits.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
We've seen all kinds of things. Period.
Oh my gosh. Is there any other last words that you want to leave people with?
See, it's hard for me because I'm not a competitor. I've never competed. I don't think I have the mental capability to do what they do, so I will commend them. But I would say just if you're considering it, just do it. I mean, what's gonna happen? Yeah, like, okay, you spent money on it, but you did something that you never thought you would do. You stood on stage in front of people, and you were vulnerable. You allowed yourself to be vulnerable in more than one situation. You're vulnerable in your training, you're vulnerable in your dieting, and in your mindset of getting ready, and you're vulnerable in the tanning booth, and you're vulnerable on stage. So I think it's commendable, and I think you only live once. You might as well try it. If you don't like it, you don't have to keep doing it. If you love it, keep going for it until you get the win, until you get the overall. Just let me just do your face, and that's all. Like,
I like that. That is awesome. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
I want to thank you for letting me do this with you, and getting to reconnect with you and everything.
Yeah. So whenever we can, we definitely have to, like, share a meal, catch up on old
Yes,
times, everything.
girl. Yes, absolutely.
I'm going to stop this right here. All right. I thank you
Okay.
so much. And I'll put all your information
Thank you.
in the sections below so everybody can find you.
Perfect. I appreciate you.